Hey guys, welcome to Jerry Low Life Interviews. Thank you for coming to the channel. I appreciate you guys all for coming to check me out on YouTube. So if you missed it the other day on April 29th, 2022, we had a interview at 7 p.m. It was with Travis Todd, also known as Todd No One. Awesome, great interview. He's a sideshow performer. He's been a stagehand local in Oklahoma City for over 15 years. He's also an event tent manager, an MMA fight cage manager, and a ring attendant for them as well. So I made a reel real quick and did some edits so that way you guys could check him out, hear everything that we talked about in a little bit more shorter area. And at the end of the day, it was just a great interview, and it was really a pleasure to talk with him and have him on my show. So I hope you guys stick around, check out the edit, and see what you think about the interview, and hang around towards the end. And there's going to be links to how you can get in touch with him and get merch with the performance that he works with as Plain Weird Freakshow. They have their links at the end of this page, and I will include them in the links below this video. So thank you guys so much, and have yourselves a wonderful day. Please tune in every Friday at 7 p.m. and check out my page on Facebook, and also you can check me out on Twitch as well. I appreciate you guys. Take care. Have a good one. Enjoy the reel. Todd No One instead of Toad No One. So how did you get that name, Travis?
Right. Yeah. So that was like I said, it's an easy misconception. It happens a lot. My biology teacher in 8th grade in Enid gave that name to me as he was call and roll. I wrote my last name with a short hook on the first D. So as he's calling the roll call, he called out Travis Toad, Travis Toad, and everybody started laughing, so it kind of stuck. I mean, it was either being people poking fun of me or they thought it was funny or clever.
Right.
So I ran with it and I stuck. I mean, most people say that nicknames are given, not you don't give yourself one, but you receive it from somebody.
That's awesome.
So, and the big part of the concept with the last name of my persona, my character, is No One. I used to use middle name with it, was Lee. I don't really recognize it now, but it was the joke was always totally no one. Who's that guy? Totally no one.
That's awesome. That's such a good story, dude. That's great. What got you interested in doing what you do, and what do you do? Like, I know I kind of introduced it, but from your own words, what do you do in the entertainment industry, Todd?
I pretty much do everything. I started off as a young kid, running around the Valms of the Gaslight Theater in Enid. My dad was a live theater actor whenever I was a child. He did a lot of Shakespeare in the Park, Taming a Shrew. I mean, so many classical plays that you can think of. My dad has participated in. I grew up seeing that. Oftentimes, as a little kid, they weren't really willing to give me a hammer and nails and go build sets, but they'd sure let me, hand me a paintbrush and do base coating and stuff like that. So I always felt included when it came to building the sets for the theater. Then I moved away from Enid, kind of put that world behind me a little bit. I missed it. And then I was hurting for a job as I met somebody. I was working for a vet clinic. And the girl that was training me was, I don't know who all remembers Ronnie Bullard, but it was his wife. And then whenever I left the vet office, she told Ronnie that I was needing work. So he hit me up for Max. And I started, I want to say about spring of 09,
Okay.
I believe, was whenever I got my professional start working for Max. Did 2 corporate gigs. One of my big first concerts that I did was Manson at the Zoo in 09.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I went from there. I remember working with you several times at some of those Zoo gigs.
Mm-hmm.
And then about about a year later was whenever I took over the event tent, which um, was owned by a promoting company in Oklahoma City. So I managed that for almost 3 years. It
Oh wow.
was
Okay.
yeah, it was 120 by 240, about 50 feet tall. Could house about 3,000 people altogether.
Oh wow.
It was a tent about the size of a football field. Had 222 uh, tent legs. Had five tower system. It was a big tent. It was
That is a huge tent.
yeah.
It's
I
not
always
just a
refer
big
to it
tent.
as
That's a huge tent.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a big tent. I always referred to it as the green monster because it was green and it would chew up crews and spit them out. There wasn't
Wow.
very many people that I could get to. I had a solid crew of about 4 people for a while, which knew the really important steps to take with erecting that tent and making it safe.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, and then the rest of the crew was filled with usually people that would oftentimes wouldn't make it to the end of the build.
So back to the Green Monster. You were managing. You were kind of taking care of this tent here.
Yeah, and during that time was whenever the MMA fight cage kind of overlapped because there was a lot of times that we built that tent specifically for the MMA fights that we did. It was a small company locally based out of Oklahoma.
Uh huh.
I helped. We started off with an octagon, and then I helped them redesign a new cage, and we turned it into a hexagon and
Okay.
added an exterior catwalk to it, and did some designing things to make it a lot lighter because the original cage was so heavy.
I
I mean,
bet.
it was dropping the end of a box truck almost to rubbing. You know, there was so many things that I did during a lot of these gigs with the tent or the MMA cage that were so sketchy, and I am so lucky that nothing bad ever happened or never got any huge tickets or
Yeah.
fines. No accidents, no incidents. I did eventually lose my tent in about, I think it was 2013, and it was supposed to be for the opening. It may have been Mayhem, but it was supposed to be the season opening show at Lost Lakes whenever they were running that.
Okay.
And, I got it 99% up and secure. Um, I had to cut my crew due to exhaustion. The ground there was not up to rating par. It was
Ooh.
a lot
Yeah.
of sand. And then we
Uh.
got 80-mile-an-hour straight line winds in the middle of the night.
Oh
And I
my
showed up the
God.
next morning and it was laying on the ground. So, uh, RIP to the Green Monster. But it lives forever. And I believe that a couple of the towers have been constructed into a bridge out at Lost Lakes. So,
Oh.
like a
Okay.
footpath bridge. So, that's the remnants of the Green Monster.
Nice. Let's kind of get into the sideshow type thing. What influenced you on that? What made you get into that industry?
I was always really intrigued with it as a kid growing up. My folks would buy me Guinness and Ripley books about every Christmas or birthday, whatever the new edition was. I had several of those. I was always really curious about just oddities, sideshow.
Mhm.
Um, I used to watch the Guinness show whenever they had it on TV.
Yeah, I remember that.
I I started off with, I guess I can well, we can get into that a little bit later, but I used to do blockhead stuff with my glasses at
Okay.
the playground just to kind of freak out, the other kids and my peers. And then about 2013, right after my tent fell down, I got picked up by a touring sideshow group. I don't think I'm at a liberty to disclose a whole bunch of names, but I
Yeah.
went on
Okay.
tour. I went on tour with them for a couple little short runs. I did, I think, like 3 months at first, and then I did about a month with them again.
Oh, okay.
But they pulled me on strictly as a driver at first, and then the owner of the company knew my buddy Andy Wine, which is kind of my mentor. It taught me how to build the tents. And so he knew him, and Andy had toured with him for a while. So he asked me about it. He said, "Well, you know how to build tents, don't you?" I said, "Of course I do." He said, "Well, I just bought a new one." He goes, "Do you think you can help me build it?" Yeah, yeah, sure. And so I end up being the jack of all trades, master of none. While I was on the road, I drove the box truck, sometimes the RV. Would get to the site. I'd build the tent, build the stage and the production, which was kind of minimal at the time, but do all the stage set, and we'd run about 3 shows a day. And
Wow.
yeah, so I between shows, had to reset all the props and the materials and stuff like that. And then
Right. A
kind
lot
of
of
run
work.
some light, yeah, kind of run some light cues through the show, and then at the end of the night, reset for the next night. We did a couple of runs at Riot Fest. We did like a week-long deal for Halloween in Jacksonville, Florida. We ended up doing a grand opening for my friend's oddity museum and historical site called McCorney's Auditorium in Bartow, North Carolina.
Okay.
So that was a pretty good deal. That's where I kind of made some connections there, and they've brought me back out this last July to do some fire breathing and stuff for
Nice.
a promo video for them. And I got to work with one of my old tour mates on that tour. But whenever I was with them, I was real intrigued, and I asked if I could start learning some of the things and be more involved. And I think at that point my plate was pretty full, but
sounds like it.
Kind of like, huh?
Sounds like your plate was pretty full.
Oh, it was exhausting. And kind of like what we were talking about earlier, is that there's very few bands that are able to what's the word, proceed or make money touring. Whenever it kind of boils down to it, a lot of them are touring to tour, and that was about where it got for me. I was only making enough money to kind of survive when I was on the road and not be able to take care of my obligations in my home back home.
Yep.
So that's kind of why we agreed to separate, and I came home, and then I ended up meeting a few of my buddies who have been around the local sideshow community for some time before I got involved.
Right.
Danny Overbay, I met him at the Diamond. He was, I think, running bar back, and then he introduced me to my best friend Walker Mike.
Okay.
And we kind of formulated Plain Weird Freakshow at that point, but we're kind of an offshoot of Dustin and Stephanie's sideshow, Captain.
Gotcha.
Sideshow.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Wonka and Danny had knew those guys for a long time, and they participated and performed with them. And then later on, I think whenever I kind of got with them, we started kind of formulating our own group and our own team, and established independence, and started forming what is Plain Weird Freakshow today.
Right.
And our guys, we keep trying to push to advance, to introduce new stunts or learn new stunts for the show, write or add new material for it.
Okay.
And just simply getting us booked that's a real struggle. It seems like whenever we're trying to pitch somebody what our show consists of, they either get grossed out or they consider it too expensive for what the entertainment consists of, or
it's always something.
It's always something, or they look down their nose at us because we don't, big question we get. So you don't play music? No, it's not a band name. We're a sideshow. We use the handle Freak Show because at first we thought it was more inviting, more mysterious or whatever.
Right.
But we do have a natural born performer with us. His name is DJ T-Rex.
Okay.
He was born with arms that basically stop about the elbow, and he's only got 4 fingers on each hand.
Holy crap.
But he's our natural born freak in our show, but he's also a working performer because he's our DJ.
Okay.
So he runs tracks for us, which I talked to an old buddy of mine that is the owner and singer of God in a Machine. And he helped us out. He tossed me some tracks and said, go nuts, go crazy. He goes, you want to use our music in your show? So I figured that what better way to help promote my friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then also avoid any headache that may come in the future by an artist saying you can't use our songs.
Right. Football field size tents sound like a nightmare.
Oh, it was. It chewed people up and spit them out. One of the worst builds I ever had was I can't remember the year, but it was when we had over 100 degrees the entire summer, and we were topping out at like 115, over 100 at night. I put in 96.
Jesus,
I put in 96 hours on that tent.
that is
I did,
crazy.
I did not feel right for 3 months.
I
My
bet.
feet, my feet tingled. My kidneys hurt. I have a hard time adjusting body temperature now. Like I hurt myself on that build, but
I'm sure.
it was for Bell Biv DeVoe and Tony Tone, and you know what? They still had a show.
Wow, that is crazy. Knowing what he's doing
Hi, Mom.
makes a mama cringe sometimes. Is that your mom?
Yeah, it's my mom.
Hey, mom. What's going
Thanks
on?
for joining.
It's awesome. Right on. It's casino gigs outside where, you know, the whole thing comes crashing down because of like the wind and crazy weather
Yeah,
that we
and that
have
was
in
actually
Oklahoma. You know what I mean?
that was
And
actually the gig that actually broke my mentor's leg, Andy. I don't think, because the insurance involved, I don't think it's right to say who the artist was at that particular show,
yeah,
but it was a nightmare that very well could have been avoided. There was nasty storms in the area, and it lifted that tent. And that actually, I don't know if you can find the link while we're on, but there's a YouTube video that you can look, and it's Lucky Star tent collapse.
okay.
Yeah, this is it. You can see the tent there in the background where the guy is running, and
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
very well could have been Andy.
Okay.
So, and you don't want to blink. You see a little gust,
Yeah, I think I've seen this before.
and then you see the updraft, and
And
there
there
it
it
goes.
goes. See you later. Bye.
That was it. That's how fast that thing could come down.
That's
And
insane, dude.
we're only fortunate that was not during showtime. There was still a couple of injuries in there, and like I said, my buddy Andy, he did some irreversible damage to one of his legs, and it never healed correctly. He eventually had to have it removed.
Wow.
I have a hard time building big scale tents anymore. At one point, after Hurricane Sandy hit the northeast coast, I was contracted to go up there and build a bunch of tents for the electricians that were coming in to help get power back to the city.
Wow.
So that was a interesting experience.
That is freaking crazy. What was probably one of the most important lessons you've learned over your careers?
Number one is be careful who you trust and take what is told to you with a big grain of salt. Follow your intuition, follow your instincts and your gut as far as deals or um, anything, whether it's booking for a gig, whether it's working a gig for the wrong person. Um, Whenever I went on tour with the sideshow group that I was their roadie for,
Uh-huh.
I went on tour at that time because I was just recently went through a divorce with my first wife, was having all sorts of nightmares with child support, with visitation, with custody, on top of trying to rebuild my life from pretty much being homeless for a short amount of time.
Man.
To where I went on the road because at first I was running away from my problems.
Yeah.
But then I realized that whenever I was on the road, that it gave me a chance to be able to find myself. And I may not have monetarily made what I needed to whenever I was on tour to be able to take care of my life.
Right.
I was given some other things to be able to bring home with me, and like I said, that was, being more self recognized, and then taking priorities, taking care of the problems instead of running from them.
Absolutely.
And then some of the stunts that I learned whenever I was on the road. I mean, and a couple of those are ones that I perform still while I can.
Right.
So I think above all, I think those are the most important things that I've learned throughout the career is, but the more that you're in it, you meet some really good people that become family to you. Some people
Yes.
that'll be there for you whenever even some of your closest people won't.
Yep.
So
I fully agree. Fully agree with that. Absolutely.
I've made a lot of and lost a lot of amazing friends. I mean, I owe Zach Higgins my life pretty much.
Yeah.
He gave me an opportunity and he listened to me whenever I had some problems. And I was completely naive to realize that there was something terribly wrong going on in his life too. And I'll never forget a conversation that I had with him about 3 months before he died.
Yeah. He's a good dude, man. I miss him very
But
much.
he
Yeah.
was a little pissed off Chihuahua all the time. He wouldn't be afraid to
Yeah,
crawl up
yeah,
anybody's ass.
he
Like,
was never afraid to tell you and put you in your place. That made him a good person in that position
it did.
too.
It did,
Yeah.
and that's what I value the most. Some of my best friends that I have, I honor them with always shooting me straight, whether
Yeah,
it's once a year or
absolutely.
not. Um, you know, a rule that I live by, and I always preach it, is that I would much rather hear the ugly truth than a pretty lie. So much more painful to, because the truth always comes out. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter if you're hearing it now or you're hearing it later, but it always hurts more whenever you find out that what somebody was telling you to your face was
at the end
complete
of the
opposite of
day,
how they felt.
absolutely.
This video was actually pretty much my submission video for the to be a member in the Global Escapology organization. Um, I'm going through some online training with a good friend of mine, Chris Campbell, out of Ontario, Canada, and he's been mentoring me to do escape routines and escape acts. So this was kind of my very first go at breaking out or picking handcuffs. So
Super cool.
Ready, go.
very important trade to have, but I don't recommend anybody trying to do this if they're being apprehended. It might not go well.
Yeah, probably not. I wouldn't think so. Probably be one of the worst things you could do.
Yeah, but there you go. One of the stunts that I do is it was supposed to be an edit for a music video for a band,
Okay.
but they decided not to use it, so I had it constructed into a demo video for me.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah, I turned the
doing,
volume down on it because I didn't know if it was DMCA, you know, so I didn't want to.
the audio on it is my buddy's band God and the Machine. It should be all good to use.
Oh, okay, okay. Well,
Yeah.
then I will turn it up for the last bit of it.
But there's the blockhead. That's with a power drill. It's a real drill. It's a real bit.
Jeez. Look at you, man.
And some fire breathing. I think at the beginning of the video I was doing some glass eating, but it's kind of quick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
That's a stunt we call the Kingpin. This was whenever we performed with Element out in Woodward.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
So I'll play this for a second then.
So it's kind of hard to see what's going on, but we got Danny there laying with a brick between his legs and going for a bowl and a strike.
Okay.
And that's my oldest daughter there. She's helping me attach the shackles to my ears.
Nice.
And eventually I do plan on applying for the earlift record.
Wow.
The current weight is 46 pounds 11 ounces, I believe. And
Holy
I can
crap.
lift, almost 50.
Dang.
Regular Cineblock is just shy of 10 pounds from the record. It's about 36 pounds.
Okay. Is this like a Guinness thing? Like a Guinness Book of World Records?
It is. It's recognized. I believe it's Johnny Strange out of the UK is the current Guinness holder. There are a couple of other world record organizations where they have other members as holders. That one there, I was doing my first suspension with Captain and
I gotcha. Yeah, I see him.
Dustin.
Yep, I see Dustin right there. Wow, dude.
That was a special moment for me there too. That was my first suspension, and it was also my late grandmother's birthday. So I always try to do something on her birthday, and that day I felt like what better way to be closer to her than to suspend.
Right. Jeez. That's one heck of a freaking suspend there.
Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of props for that being my first one. I think I ran about 4, almost 5 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, the video looks like and the video itself is 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So, like, that's, I mean, where do you go? Like, I always thought it was very interesting, and I've never done it yet myself, but I often thought about it. Um, but going about doing it, do you have to like have a certain focus? Like, what's your focus like? How's your approach to something like this?
Um, More or less, you try to approach it as more of a not a religious, but a spiritual approach.
I see.
You kind of get in your to get ready, get in your mindset to kind of separate your mind or your spirit or whatever from your body itself. And then whenever you feel yourself being weightless like that, where you're not, nothing's holding you up but your skin,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it kind of brings that mind, body, and spirit kind of closer together, and maybe teaches you to get a little bit more control over like cognitive decisions or meditation, if you will, the visual performance. And um, so if we go and we slap around a whole bunch of stuff of what we do of our routine and openly available, then it kind of ruins the ambience and the surprise of what it is that we're doing, our stunts and
Right.
uh, stuff like that goes. We do carry a big message with our sideshow, kind of trying to keep it traditional and pay homage that we try to show that everybody is individual, but we're all equal.
Right, right, right,
Um,
right, right.
there's always somebody that may be less fortunate than us or be born different. It gives them an opportunity to demonstrate uh, their strength and being able to overcome the difficulties in their life, whether it be day to day or whichever. Which in traditional sideshow,
That's
even though there
awesome.
was the yeah, even though there was the persona that they were being exploited, a lot of the sideshows and freak shows were maintained and ran by the uh, the, the different uh, the freaks, if you will,
Right.
which depending on how you use the term can be derogatory or it can be accepted.
Right. I agree with
But
that.
that basically gave folks that were different at a time that there wasn't help, there wasn't food stamps, there wasn't child support, there wasn't any of those things that could help somebody. There wasn't Medicare, Medicaid, any of that stuff that could help somebody different be able to maintain status of life. So they had
Wow.
to be able to do it themselves. Hence, creating sideshows and freak shows to be able to give them a job and the opportunity to be able to continue to work and make money. I mean, in the world that we live in today, it's so hard to find the right vocabulary that is what I guess is considered PC. 1 minute, one word will offend somebody. The next minute, it's something else.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, a lot of the message and the story behind our sideshow is to break that barrier. As we're there watching a show or performing for a show, we are all one in the same room, enjoying time in a moment with each other.
Right.
Time is the most valuable currency in the world. It's the one thing you trade your labor for monetary gain. It's time is something that you can never get a refund on.
Yep.
So uh, should always make the best of your moments when they're given. The rest of the guys, I mean, we're referred to as working performers since we're not different, and that's why we do our stunts. And
Right.
by doing our stunts, we try to give the message that the mind and the body and the will and the drive and everything else is so much stronger than what a lot of ourselves give ourselves credit for.
Right.
Um, because there's so many people that struggle with depression, self-image issues. They don't feel like they're good enough for something or whatever. It's like you don't have to be good at everything,
Nope.
but
You don't.
find what you are good at and be the best at it that you can be. I mean,
Absolutely.
uh, I'm just trying to encourage empowerment from a lot of people with our show that we like to sometimes be lowbrow, a little gross or vulgar or
Right.
I mean, if people walk out going, "Wow, that was nuts," and they're giggling and chuckling all the way back to their car, then we did our job. And reflecting on that aspect is like you said, lingo or being politically correct or whatever. I have to hand it to my youngest daughter. She's 5.
Yeah.
Her reference to anybody that she sees is, well, there's a human.
Right. Right.
There's a human over there. And I looked at her and I told her, I said, honey, I said, that is probably the most polite and politically correct thing that you could ever say. Instead of referring to somebody as a pronoun or as whatever,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. You know, there's no change, and we are all human. That's awesome. You know what? And that's what it takes to make the change in the world, is not to try and change an adult's mind, but try and teach the next generation. You're not ever going to be able to change an adult's mind, but
Nope.
you can teach your kids to do better and be better for the world that we leave behind for them.
It's that saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
That's exactly right.
What is one piece of advice you would give to someone starting out in your career? You know, and I guess you could touch the base of both of those, you know, or all of them if you want.
The best piece of advice is to, you know, getting into the entertainment industry, I guess, is what you're asking.
Yeah.
You know, find a strong, reputable company to get into. I mean, they're always hiring, always. The entertainment industry is a revolving door. So don't ever give your hopes up if you get with a company that you don't feel works best for you. And above all, I think that's a lot of what it consists of, is that people approach the industry in different aspects on how they want to formulate around their life and their schedule. You know, some companies will, I mean, they'll work you 100 hours in a week, you know, hard manual labor, constant go, 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 go. And, you know, there's other ones where you can get paid a fair amount of money for what feels like you're earning more than what you should. But the main thing above all is to make sure that the checks cash. I'll work in production and entertainment industry until I physically cannot anymore.
Yep.
It's been such a big part of my life ever since I was a kid. And it works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. Some people are better off at a 9 to 5, because with entertainment industry and labor calls, the hours are crazy. You got early mornings, late nights, and short turnarounds. I mean, you'll work yourself into exhaustion and hallucination, but I would never give it up for the world.
Right. Yeah. Those experiences are, I don't even have words for it. You just, those experiences is something that you'll always have, you know, and nobody else will. It's something that'll never be able to be taken from you. What is one thing about your job field or expertise that almost no one agrees with you on? Is there something that nobody agrees with you on that you're like, this is what should happen, or this is the way it should be done, and people are like, no.
I used to be like that a lot whenever I was managing. That was a huge stress. Oftentimes would wear on you and make you a little grumpy, I guess.
Yeah.
That, you know, I usually tried to maintain positivity. I mean, but there are several times where I called crews across the street to hash it out. But
yeah.
Above all, my deal is safety. And I got into an argument with the tour manager for an undisclosed band about having us do something stupid whenever we had a forklift, you know, on site. And I told him I didn't want to have 5 guys put in a weird position to potentially have something crush them while we have a man in a forklift that's sitting there not doing anything.
Right.
And it was to the point where, you know, it was a back and forth. Well, you don't do what, you know, you do what I say, kind of a thing. I said, no. You know, I had to tell one of my guys, and he said, oh, well, are you sure? Are you sure we're doing it this way? I said, who's your boss, me or him? He said, you. I said, okay, then get out from underneath that sketchy situation, and we're going to get the machine over here. I don't care if it takes a few seconds longer. We're not going to kill ourselves. We're exhausted.
Right.
You know, we have a machine that can make everybody's life easy. I'm about working smarter, not harder. The family thing, like you were discussing earlier, Dave, that, you know, you develop really close bonds and attachments with folk, and then, you know, something like that shows you just how fragile life really is.
Absolutely.
And reminds you, you know, that you should really take in every moment that you can. Sometimes it may not always be a good day, but you don't have to rub against the grain to make it a bad day.
That's true.
You know,
Uh,
find something good in it and enjoy your time with your friends, because nobody's ever promised tomorrow. Self-care is a big important thing. It's something that I've learned about, that I will do everything I can for my kids, and I often leave myself last. Uh, I've gone weeks and weeks while living off of ramen noodles so that I know that I could buy them whatever it wanted at the grocery store when they were with me.
I like circus rigs. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Who doesn't love a good circus? But it's a sideshow that not very many people pay attention to, because that's how they derived the name sideshow, because it was a separate tent
Right.
away from the primary circus. The circus folk at the time are kind of like, keep the freaks away from us, put them over there.
Wow.
But
I didn't know that.
it's kind of where the term came from. It's a separate attraction other than actual
Sideshow.
circus.
Makes
Right.
sense. All right. Right on.
Kind of like I said, what like the foundation of sideshow, a lot of is about is that type of demonstration of strength, to show people to overcome the cards that we've been dealt in life, and showing that strength to overcome day-to-day struggles, or and it could be simple tasks, or they could be complicated tasks, or just something simple that you used to be able to do but you can't now because of an injury, or that you're getting older.
Yeah.
And I've had to come to realization with that too. I mean, that I'm not as fit and as strong and as healthy as what I was, 10, 12 years ago, whenever I was managing that big ass tent. And
Wow.
I'm more limited now than what I couldn't do those
Yeah.
things anymore.
Yeah.
And I've been pretty fortunate. I mean, I've succumbed to a few injuries, but usually nothing more than some stitches, or
Right. Same.
something like that. But
Same.
I agree wholeheartedly with Greg here. Smile and be kind to everyone, because everyone is going through something.
Absolutely.
100%. I mean, I have a time-filled job that I work where I jockey a register at a gas station, and I've been told several times by my massive group of regulars and my boss and stuff, so you're just so good with people, and you're so nice, and you're so kind. And I said, well, why would anybody want to go to a store where the attendant or the clerk is just rude and bitter? And I
Right.
said, you never know what your customers are going through when they come into your store. You acknowledging them and being kind and helping them with what they need, and approaching them as
Oh,
not just a customer but a person,
right.
might change their crappy day into a good one.
I was always trying to portray that positivity. It would go straight from me being an asshole to like being the nicest guy in the planet, and people remembered that. And
Oh, they do. And as still a currently working hand production rigger, LD, or whatever,
yeah,
the job that I have on the particular gig, I mean, the roadies and the crew that come into the house are definitely the ones that set the tone for the entire afternoon.
yeah,
If they get off of the bus being cranky and crabby, you're automatically going to have hands that are going to be hard to work and hard to deal with, because they don't. The way that I've always put it is that we may be house guys and you may be tour guys or whichever, but for this particular gig, we're all standing in the same room with the same agenda, is to put a band on stage, have a rock and roll show or whatever it may be,
yeah.
and for us to go about our separate ways and live our lives, pay our bills. Here we got Jeff put it in here. You said you can get along with anybody for a day. That's
Yeah.
100%. If anybody wants to know what it's like to set up shows, that's the epitome of it, basically.
Yeah,
Because you
absolutely.
see a different crew all the time. I mean, the longer you're in it, obviously, you start remembering people that are hardcore roadies that come through repeatedly with multiple bands and stuff, and you develop those relationships with them. Greg was asking if I had any upcoming gigs. I think
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. That's what he did say.
we don't Plain Weird Freakshow doesn't currently have anything on the books, but that's one of the things that I'm so appreciative of you, Jerry, of bringing me on the show. It gives me the opportunity to kind of introduce more and new people to a different kind of show other than just music, rock and roll, or whatever. But there's other
Absolutely.
forms of live entertainment out there, and all we ask is for likes, follows, and for you to go to your favorite pub, venue, or whatever. And if they put on shows, tell them you want to see Plain Weird Freak Show.
Check him out. Go to check out the group that he's with. It's called Plain Weird Freakshow. They are on Facebook. Go give them a message. Go give them a like. Give them a follow. All that stuff really helps.
Yeah, you can either send us a message through my personal page, my artist page, or Plain Weird Freak Show's messenger.
Okay.
You can reach out through any of those avenues. I mean, we're always willing to take our bookings that way through messenger, and we can figure out other ways of communication, whether it be email or phone calls.
Perfect.
We'll do anything from rock shows to private, events. If you have a wedding, bar mitzvah, Thanksgiving dinner, or whatever, we'll come and eat your turkey. But yeah, we're non-exclusive. We do like the higher profile shows. We've done a couple of mid-level support for Head PE. We did one for Lords of Acid a couple of years ago.
Awesome.
We feel like certain bands and stuff, we mash really well together, and it gives something else to just a concert.
Right.
Whether it be an intermittent, stunt show or whichever. But like I said, all of my guys are not afraid to come and do a private event. We are borderline PG-13 or R-rated. It kind of depends. Usually, you give us a heads up before we show up. And I do have a few of our, and you might be able to find them on our page there, Jerry. I think we have an advertisement for some of our limited edition T-shirts.
So are those the shirts?
Yeah, that's not the advertisement, but yeah, those are the shirts there. They are, if you can see in the photo, they're blacklight reflective on the front side. Plain Weird Freak Show and Stay Weird on the back. It's not a trademarked hashtag. It was formulated by somebody a few years ago, but we've kind of adopted it since we're called Plain Weird Freak Show, and
okay,
we like to encourage the positivity of people being different.
Right,
So,
right. I couldn't find the
Stay Weird.
actual shirt. I couldn't find it on the site itself, so I just saw the. Yeah, I didn't see the ad. I saw the actual picture of it. So also, like, I don't know if you have that little plaque thing you showed me earlier with your handcuffs.
Yeah,
that was really cool. You should show that to people.
Yeah, so last year I was inducted as a member of the Global Escapology Organization, which is an international escapology group that tours, performs, and mentors escapology performances, which include handcuff escapes, water escapes, rope escapes, a lot of Houdini style acts, straight jackets. An extremely awesome group. I believe that they're open to follow on Facebook. It's the Global Escapology Organization. They're all the time posting videos of amazing performers doing some out of this world escape stunts. Super awesome group to be involved with, and just adds that little bit more to my repertoire and my catalog as far as performances goes, and stunts and routines and stuff. I'll try my best to answer the question and keep it rolling. That's really hard to choose on what's my favorite. I've seen a lot of amazing productions and performances that I never thought that I would enjoy. I was honestly extremely impressed with Lady Gaga's performance and her production. Above all, though, I would have to say that my favorite setup that I've ever done was for Slipknot, mainly because they're my longtime childhood favorite band. So getting to work and set them up was always kind of a life goal. Kind of put a notch in my belt. But as far as being in the production industry and being a stagehand, you oftentimes get exposed to other music and bands and stuff that you probably wouldn't normally listen to on your own time or your own free will, because it's just not in your avenue. But I love music of all kind. I love R&B. I love rock and roll. There's some country I like. I like pop. Michael Jackson was a big influence for me as a kid. My biggest regret, my biggest bucket list performer that I've always wanted to work for was Prince. And he passed away, unfortunately, before I had the opportunity to work his gig. But I've also worked for many gigs of performers that aren't around anymore, like No Show Jones, George Jones, or I worked for Lemmy and Motorhead, which I had pretty great story as far as that one goes. They were trucking Lemmy to the stage, bless his heart, in a golf cart towards the stage, and there was a dance floor ramp, which Jerry knows what dance floor ramp is. It's basically a
Yeah.
truck ramp, but it's shorter,
Right.
and it was laying right in the path, right in Lemmy's path. Well, he sticks his leg out the side of that golf cart like he's going to boot that heavy ass thing out of the way. And I stopped him. I jumped in front of him. I said, "Hold on, let me wait. Let me get that for you." And I picked it up, moved it out of his way, and I just kind of heard him stammering like Ozzy Osbourne. Oh, thanks, mate. And then he made his way to the stage, and it was mid-afternoon, like maybe 6, 7 o'clock, middle of the summer. He's dressed head to toe in black leather, and he is just getting beat to death with the sun on like a 90-degree day.
Dang.
But he got up there and he straight slammed it. And I mean, he walked off stage, looked like he had been in a hot box all night, just sweating, dripping sweat. But that, like we were talking about with those life experiences, man, a lot of the times whenever characters like Jerry or I are telling people, like everyday average folks, like what it is that we do, and some of the stories, like me keeping Lemmy from breaking his leg on a ramp, people look at you and go, nuh-uh. Pictures or it didn't happen. I'm like, no, really, that is our life, that is our world. And
Yeah.
A part of it, and it is really humbling about it, is the difference between being a professional and a hobbyist is being able to have an everyday conversation with a performer.
Yep.
Instead of asking for an autograph.
Absolutely.
One of my cool stories is it was the last time that we had Vinny with Hell Yeah at the Diamond Ballroom, and
Yeah.
I was helping the drum tech out, and just curiosity, I asked him if I was like, does he play with custom signature sticks, or does he just play with random old
You saw them all
throwaways?
cut up, didn't you?
Yeah, because he plays with them upside down. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I asked. He goes, "Oh no, they're signature," and he pulled out a pair and handed them to me to look over. I said, "Man," I was like, "Hell yeah, that's cool." I go to hand it back to him, and he looked at me. He goes, "No," he goes, "Here, those are yours." And
Good
I mean,
dude.
it wasn't personally handed to me from Vinny himself, but it was his tech. But
Yeah.
regardless, I mean, those are sit on my top shelf because that was a set of sticks that was given to me the last time that he ever played in the Diamond Ballroom.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a few months after that Vinny passed away.
Vinny was a good dude.
And if whenever I was working a show that I really liked, or the performer, or the artist, or whatever, if I wanted an autograph or something, I would usually go to the promoter or the production rep and go through the sources.
Yeah.
To have them put it within their, because normally the promoters is getting something signed or whatever.
Right.
So ask them if they can throw something in there for me to get signed, because while I'm there working, I want to focus on working and not trying to be a fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if I'm rubbing elbows with some of my all-time favorite musicians and stuff like that, I feel that even they feel that it's way more humbling to not fanboy or fangirl over their presence, but to talk to them like they're people, because they're just people.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's all it is it's just the respect.
I've had very few bad moments with artists themselves. A lot of the time, if you're having a rough experience at a show or whatever, it usually has a lot to do with like the management coming trickling down, more so than the artist. You could have a management company say, okay, do not look so and so directly in the eyes or you'll be fired. It's kind of like, what? And then so and so comes up to you and strikes up a normal conversation like, hey, did you catch the ball game?
Right.
I'm not supposed to look at you. I'm not supposed so it's, yeah, a lot of it is, well, I mean, the epitome of what we do, it's smoke and mirrors.
It is.
Try to perceive that it's all magic to the people that are spending their hard-earned dollars to come and have an evening, to reward themselves for all the hard work that they did.
Yeah.
Over time, you become a little jaded in your occupation of setting up shows, and you forget that there's people out there that don't get to go to them very frequently, and they only will fork over money that they can afford for a show that they absolutely have to go see.
Yeah.
So it gets kind of lost sometimes on that, that barrier of where we're at. And if you want to have an upstanding reputation within the industry as a worker, laborer, or whatever your field may be, because there's many fields within the entertainment industry, but professionalism is always key.
Yep.
Being able to do your job without, because if you wanted to be a fan, and you wanted to fangirl about stuff, buy a ticket. But if you're there to work, then you're being paid to do a job.
Love the stories, and I hope Jerry has you on again. Yeah, we'll have a follow up. We'll have a follow
Yeah,
up
sure.
with
I'd love to be
Travis.
back on again.
If you're cool with that, like maybe I'll book you in like 6 months from now or something, and just see what's going on.
That sounds great. Maybe about 6 months. I see it's April now. That will probably be right around our Halloween season. So hopefully we'll have some stuff booked up that we can promo that where you guys can maybe be able to catch one of Plain Weird Freak Show's performances. Stay weird. No one loves you.
Yep. Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Appreciate you, Travis. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around and checking out the video. I really appreciate it. If you want to catch them or have any questions for Travis, or you want to check out Plain Weird Freak Show, all you need to do is go to this website here. It's on www.facebook.com/loveyourclowns. It'll be Plain Weird Freak Show. You can contact them on this page too as well. And then also, if you want to contact Travis, his personal page will be the facebook.com/Toad No One. You can also message him on here as well. All right, and that's it, guys. I really appreciate everything. Thank you guys again for sticking around. And if you guys need to know more information about this video or me, all the links will be below. Thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful day. See you guys later.